Hey everybody, welcome back to Miss Murder. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. It's been so long. My name is Markayla and I am Miss Murder. So you're probably wondering if you've been here for a while, where have you been, girl? Well, let me just tell you. So for those who follow me on other social media, especially like a lot on my Facebook and stuff like that, I do have a lot of things. I've had a lot of medical problems these past few months, and so I just had to take some time off. I mean, there's really nothing else to it. And it's crazy because I came from. So I started having seizures like 5 years ago. I have epilepsy. I started having seizures about 5 years ago. And I don't know, it was like I was 29 years old. I was sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden I started having seizures. A couple days later, I got admitted into the hospital. And then the doctor stopped counting at 97 seizures. So it was a lot, and they didn't think I was going to make it. However, here I am. I'm alive and well. I'm still having seizures. I just had a seizure yesterday. However, it was very, very, very mild, which I'm so thankful for. And thankfully, I have a family who loves me and, who is with me throughout this battle and goes on the journey with me and things like that. So I'm super, super grateful and very thankful of my family. So today's episode is going to be completely different from Miss Murder. So this is going to be a true crime. However, this is before the actual crime. You're probably like, what? Okay, girl, let me tell you. This is going to hit a little different. It hit me a little different because this is exactly where I was going and exactly what I was doing. All right. And I was literally preparing to travel to alone. The same city and the same destination. But when I heard what happened to this girl, I had one of those moments where I just had to sit there and think, like, holy shit, this could have been me. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about human trafficking. We're going to talk about solo travel. We're going to talk about situational awareness. And we're going to talk about something that a lot of us are guilty of, being so distracted that we don't actually pay attention to what's happening around us. Because sometimes when your gut recognizes something before your brain does, and I know a lot of y'all walk around with your little headphones in. Ladies, men, stop doing that. Stop it. Stop walking around with your earbuds in. Especially when you're in a big city, especially when you're alone, especially you need to know your surroundings. And I literally could not even fathom. This girl didn't even have her headphones in. Like she was just outside all willy nilly in front of God and everybody underneath the Eiffel Tower. So let's get into it. But however, first off, while you're listening to this, I want you to put yourself in her shoes for a minute. This is not because I don't want to scare you. And it's not because I'm trying to convince you that you shouldn't travel. It's because I want you to understand how quickly an ordinary situation can become something completely different. Because human trafficking doesn't always look like what we imagine. It isn't somebody who's being kidnapped off the street by a stranger in like one of those, crazy like white vans or whatever. It sometimes begins with like manipulation, deception, or somebody who's trying to offer help, like a ride, a place to stay, a job, a friendship, a romantic relationship. And sometimes the person who's being targeted doesn't immediately realize what's happening. This is why awareness matters. So this is why I decided that I was going to do this, especially on my platform, because a lot of you who know me, I go on my birthday trips. I love it. My birthday, I have a month long. I had a whole month long vacation that I already paid for next August to go to Paris. I'm literally learning French right now because when I get over there, I want to be so fluent in French. I do not want to speak English. But the thing is, I have I have Emily in Paris in my brain, okay? I don't have this girl in Paris in my brain. Does that make sense? Like I have the Devil Wears Prada, okay? I don't have the I don't have Taken. However, ladies, people, if you have never seen Taken, I'm telling you, this is shot for shot of the actual Taken movie. Stop what you're doing. Well, listen to the rest of this. But after this, go watch Taken. It's on multiple streaming platforms. It's with Liam Neeson. He's an amazing actor. However, this is exactly what happens. Exactly. And I'm trying to tell you and for you to be aware and have all the information, especially if you're solo traveling. I love to solo travel. However, after hearing this, I don't know if I'll solo travel. I mean, we already know in America, the world is crazy. Like we know that. But man, she's literally in every single place that I have already thought to be. Like I have already thought about. So this starts with her. So she's underneath the Eiffel Tower and she's like walking around. There's people that are wanting to sell you stuff, right? And this guy keeps looking at her and smiling, and he approaches her and he introduces himself, and she's like, "Oh, this is my name." And he was like, "Oh, it's really nice to meet you. Would you like to come to a party with us?" And she's like, "No, no, thank you. Like, I'm good." And he was like, "Oh, come on." And she was like, "No, thank you. I don't drink." And he was like, "Oh, come on. It's going to be fun." And she's like, "No, I'm good." And he said, "Okay, well, can I get your number?" And she was like, "No, I don't hand out my number." And he was like, "Okay, well, can I get your Instagram?" And she's like, "Yeah, fine. You can have my Instagram. A lot of people have my Instagram. It's not anything new." I think she's like a content creator. She's like, "Okay, well, I got to go. Bye." Well, when she kind of gets up and she starts to walk off, she turns around and the guy already went back to the friend, because there's like a lot of people under there. They try to sell you stuff like little trinkets and stuff like that. So they do try to sell you a bunch of stuff. And he goes over to the friend and he's like looking at her and pointing at her. And she was like, alarm bells start going off. And so she was like, I go straight to the train station. Okay. She gets on the train and she sits down. Before the doors close, walks in his friend, him, two girls, and then I think she said like another two people. I'm not really sure, but I think she said two other people. And they all sit super close to her. Like one of them is on the side, and then the two girls are sitting on the train facing her, right? And of course, like, poor girl is freaking out. Like, she is freaking out. And so I'm going to also share pictures on my YouTube channel and on my Reels of the photos that she took and she put on her TikTok, so you can kind of get an idea of what she's talking about and like where exactly that they were. It's her best friend and she's like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, okay, get off the next stop in a very busy area. Very busy. And so she's like, okay, so that next stop, she gets off, she goes and sits down, and they're like right there with her, right? Which is insane. By the way, I'm so sorry. Let me backtrack. I also forgot to add, while she was there, he asked her for a picture, and they took a picture of her. That's very key, and I can't believe I forgot that. So they also took a picture of her, right? Anyways, even though she said no, but he took one anyways. Anyways, let's go back. So she's sitting there and she's crying and she's freaking out and she doesn't know what to do. And she's like, I'm going to get on the next train, right? Because like maybe I can jump in like as soon as the doors close so they can't get me. So she tries that. All right. As soon as she jumps on the train, the doors close. But some of them make it on and they're sitting closer to her, right? And so she's on FaceTime with her best friend and they're going through stops and stuff like that. He keeps looking at her, she keeps looking at him, and he keeps saying, not this stop, and like taunting her. So then She's on the phone, FaceTime, and she looks at the guy next to her and he's asleep. And she's like, can you help me? I'm being followed. And he's like, no, sorry, no English. And she's like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so she's bawling. I mean, bawling. Well, her friend calls her back and she's on FaceTime and she is freaking out. She's bawling. She doesn't know what to do. I mean, these alarm bells are going off in her head. And he's like, are you okay? He starts speaking in a language. And her friend, which is, she didn't even know what language it was. Her friend knows that language. So they're communicating. And he was like, you can get off at the next stop with me. It's very busy. I'm a security guard, but stay close. Whatever you do, stay close. And do not leave from underneath my arm because they will grab you. And she's ready. So they get off. He puts his jacket over her and he's starting to walk, right? And so he's like, I'm taking you to the bus. She's like, no, I just need an Uber. I need to get to the Australian embassy. Like, that's all I need. I need to get to the Australian embassy because I need to get out of this country. Like, I need to figure out what I need to do. And he was like, this is a really bad area. A lot of Ubers don't come here. And she's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to get there? Like, poor girl. Like, I couldn't even imagine. And she's like, let me just try it anyways. There's an Uber. One Uber that is there and we'll pick her up. And so she's like, oh, thank God. So she gets in the Uber, thankfully understands perfect English. And he's like, you literally just saved your own life. Like, he said, you don't understand how many people that I've drove in this car and then go missing. Like, he's like, it's so baffling. So he takes her to the Australian embassy. She gets dropped off and she goes in, she starts telling her story. And the lady's like, okay, sit down for as long as you want. Like, we're going to go check out some things. They come back and they said, we're getting you out of the country right now because I just found your picture on the black market. They're looking for you. Y'all, I just got goosebumps. Like, your picture that you took earlier with that man is now on the black market. Now everybody in Paris is looking for you. And you can't go to the police. Why? Because the police are involved. Human trafficking is one of the biggest money makers in the entire world. It's ridiculous how much billions and billions of dollars that human trafficking bring in, especially in Paris and especially in other countries. And so she's like, we're getting you at the next flight out, which is tomorrow morning. And she said, go back to your Airbnb, get all your stuff ready, and be at the airport, like, first thing in the morning before your flight leaves. And so, which, side note, this is kind of really weird because I'm not understanding why they didn't provide a car service to take her and, like, watch her outside. Like, that's what I don't understand. But it might be just, like, maybe Australia Embassy and, like, the American Embassy. Maybe they can't do that. I don't know. But anyway, so she got an Uber. She went back to her Airbnb. She packed all of her stuff. And she was like, I was just sitting there waiting. Like, she said, guys, if y'all have not seen that Taken movie, it was literally like T for T. Like, that movie is exactly what happens. So, I don't want y'all to be like, human trafficking isn't what TV makes it look like. But the victims look a certain way, the traffickers look a certain way. No. The traffickers are charming. They're very, very attractive. They're very manipulative. Like they'll approach you and they'll be like, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. Would you like to come and have like a drink with me? Would you like to go to dinner with me?" Like something like that, okay? And it would be and it can't be just that one. It's going to be different ones. However, that movie Taken is literally what it is. Like it's crazy. And she said, and in her story, she kept saying, like, God is so good. I don't know if you were religious. And if you're not religious, then that's okay. However, me, I grew up in a very Christian household. My family, they are Church of God Pentecostals. And even me, I was like, God is so good to you. Like, He really pulled you out, especially the people that just were in your corner without knowing they were in your corner. Just like the man that couldn't speak English, but your friend knew the language. She didn't even know she even spoke that language. And it's like a very different language that's like, she's like, I don't even know what language it was. And so it was just, and then the Uber driver who spoke in perfect English, and the people in the Australian embassy, saying like, yes, you were on the black market, like we got to get you out of Paris, like you can't stay here or you will be taken and you will be never found again. Let's get you out. I don't understand. This is what's crazy. I don't understand why they didn't send a car with her to go grab all of her stuff and then take her back to the Australian embassy to let her stay there so she's safe and then take her to the airport. I'm not really sure. That's kind of weird to me, but like I said, it might be just because it's another country. I'm not really sure. The traffickers always can like use force, fraud, corrosion, like manipulation, threats, financial control, and isolation. And the person could become like vulnerable because they're in an unfamiliar environment, or because they're alone, because they're stranded, or because they need help, or just because like somebody has gained their trust. And I really want to make this clear. The victim is never responsible for being trafficked. Talking about safety does not mean blaming victims. We can always talk about ways to reduce risk by while still understanding that the person who chose to exploit someone is responsible for that exploitation. All right, so now let's talk about solo travel. This is where the story really got me because I was planning on going and traveling to that same city. I was planning on going there alone. And then I suddenly started thinking about things I really hadn't like considered. Or am I going to take an Uber? Who all knew I was there? What if something went wrong? What if my phone died? What if I got into a vehicle and suddenly didn't feel safe? What if I met someone who seemed completely trustworthy and then things changed? And then that's when I realized being independent doesn't mean that you have to pretend you're invincible. I will tell you, when I solo travel, I am mean. I am mean. I am not a nice person when I solo travel, especially, no offense, but especially to men. I'm not a nice person. I came to see the city, not date you. Go away. You know what I mean? I love the idea of women traveling alone. I love women being independent. I love women getting on a damn plane and going somewhere that they've never been. But independence doesn't mean ignoring risk. It means being prepared for it. And for the love of God, stop wearing your headphones everywhere. Y'all, I'm so serious. I know you love your music. I know you want to listen to my podcast. I'm just kidding. I know you want to listen to the podcasts. I know sometimes you want to put your headphones in and pretend that the entire freaking world doesn't exist. But when you're traveling alone, especially somewhere unfamiliar, you need to be present. You need to hear what's happening around you. You need to know when someone is like approaching you. You need to hear everything around you. You need to hear what's happening behind you. You need to notice what's happening in a parking lot. You need to hear somebody trying to get your attention. You need to actually be able to observe your surroundings. And I'm not saying that you can never wear headphones. I'm saying stop walking around completely disconnected from your environment when you are alone. And if you absolutely have to have them in, keep one earbud out, keep the volume low, and pay attention, because your headphones are not more important than your surroundings. You don't have to be paranoid, honey. You just need to be present. So, if you're traveling alone, tell somebody where you're going. And I don't mean, hey, I'm going to Mexico. No. Give someone your actual itinerary, your flight information, your hotel, transportation plans, your expected arrival time, your established check ins, and something as simple as, if you don't hear from me by this time, call me, and share your location with someone you trust. And don't broadcast your exact location to the entire internet while you are still there. There is a difference between, look where I went, and here's exactly where I am right now. Here's my hotel, and here's where I'm going next. You don't need to give strangers a live map, your movements on, because you want to show everything to Instagram. Like, come on. Have your transportation figured out before you arrive whenever possible. You have to know how you're getting from the airport to your hotel. These are key, right? You need to know where you're staying, and always, 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 always know where all the emergency services are. 911 is America. 112 is France. I have a whole list of them. Know the numbers, know where the nearest hospitals are, know where the police stations are, know where your embassies are. You have to know this. These are so important. And I know you're thinking, well, I never even thought of that. I'm here to tell you, this might be a true crime talk podcast, but honey, I don't want you on here. Okay, this is going to prevent you to the actual crime. So also make sure you always keep your phone charged, carry a portable charger, keep important documents secure, and always have a backup plan. The goal isn't to be scared. I don't want you to be scared. I want you to go out and explore the world, and I want you to have fun. But the goal is to avoid being caught completely unprepared. Another thing, stop giving strangers so much information. Stop telling strangers everything about yourself. You need, when you're traveling alone, you have a husband, you have a brother, you have a boyfriend, you have your uncle, somebody, some man, and explain it. I got a 6'8", 320-pound husband that's about to be back. He just went to the restroom. I would get away from me if I was you. Wear a wedding ring. A crappy little one from Walmart. Wear a wedding ring. I always have a wedding ring on. Always. Do not tell them where you're staying. Do not tell them what room you're staying in. Do not tell them that you're there for an entire week. Don't tell them exactly where you're going next. Don't tell them any of your travel plans. You can always be friendly without giving someone access to your entire itinerary. You don't owe someone trust just because they're being nice to you. Kindness and trust are not the same things, babe. So when you see those red flags and your femtuition is bouncing and you hear those bells are ringing, not every one of those automatically means that somebody is a trafficker. Okay? But there's situations that I want you to pause and you want to reassess. Someone insisting on controlling your transportation. So like in the movie Taken, hey, do you want to get a cab together? Well, in my mind, like, yeah, that's a lot cheaper. Yeah, we can share a cab together. But now they're going to drop you off first. They know exactly where you're staying. Or somebody trying to separate you from your friends. Like, hey, let's go Let's go get a drink. Let's go to the bar, Never, if you are with your friends, never leave your friends. Stop being those girls. Stop being those girls. Well, my friend's fine. No, she's not. Someone always pressuring you to go somewhere private. You never need to go anywhere private. Always public. Public is best. All right? Unless you know him. Or somebody trying to take your phone. Never let anybody take your phone. Oh, give me your phone so I can put in my number. Absolutely not. What's your number? No. You do not ever take my phone out of my hands. First off, I will stab you. But also someone who is repeatedly ignoring your boundaries, or someone getting angry when they say no, or someone making you feel like you owe them something. Just because you're nice to them or they're nice to you does not mean that you owe them your attention or your respect or your words. Absolutely not. And also, someone who doesn't respect your no. You are allowed to leave. Women, I want you to hear this, okay? I have to stay somewhere because you don't want to seem rude. Girl, be rude. Be absolutely freaking rude. Please be rude. You do not have to finish a conversation with somebody because somebody is offended that you're walking away. You do not owe somebody your time because they bought you a drink. You do not owe somebody access to you because they helped you. And you absolutely do not need to wait until someone has actually hurt you before you decided to leave. If you feel uncomfortable, girl, go. Call somebody. Go into a business. Go to the front desk. Go somewhere populated. Ask for help. Get away from the situation. You don't need a courtroom case file providing someone is dangerous. Baby, trust your gut. That weird feeling, the femtuition, the little voice saying something isn't right, listen to it. Yeah, maybe you're wrong, but you know what? You're alive and you're safe. You do not have to know exactly what's wrong. You don't even have to be able to explain it. If something feels off, baby, get out. So, that was a long, those were my key points of me when I solo travel. Bringing it back to her story, honeys. That is why this girl story affected me so much. Because this wasn't some story that I saw online and forgot about. This is a place that I was preparing to visit next year for my 36th birthday. This happened I was preparing to go there alone. So if I had to ask myself, what would have I done? What would I have noticed? Would I have trusted my gut? Would I have recognized the warning signs? Would I have known where to go? Would somebody back home have known something was wrong? I don't know. And honestly, that part scares me because we all like to believe that we immediately recognize danger. That we'd fight, that we'd run, that we know exactly what to do, but danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it looks completely normal. Sometimes it looks like somebody's helping you. And sometimes it looks like someone is so charming and it looks like someone you trust. That's why awareness matters. This is not about being afraid, but listen to me. I don't want you leaving this episode thinking, well, I guess I'm never going to travel alone. No, honey, that is not my message. I don't want women to be afraid of the world. I want women prepared for the world. Babe, girl, go check that trip. Book that flight. Go see the places that you've always wanted to see. Have the adventure, but do it smart. Tell somebody where you are. Have a backup plan. Protect your information. Pay attention and keep your phone charged. And take the damn headphones out of your ears every once in a while. And most importantly, don't ignore yourself just because you don't want to offend somebody else. If you remember nothing else from today's episode, remember this. Being cautious doesn't mean you're paranoid. Leaving doesn't mean you're rude. And saying no doesn't make you dramatic. And trusting your gut doesn't require you to prove that someone was dangerous first. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to change your mind. And you're allowed to say no. You are allowed to choose your own safety, because I'd rather have someone think I'm paranoid than have them realize that it's too late, that their gut was right. And maybe that's the biggest thing in the story taught me. But I was getting ready to travel to this city, thinking about where I was going to eat, what I was going to see, what I was going to wear, and all the fun shit that I was going to do. And then I heard what happened to her, and suddenly I started to thinking about safety. So maybe that's what this episode is really about, not being afraid to travel or not assuming everyone is dangerous and not living your life terrified of what could happen, but just remembering that your safety deserves to be part of the itinerary too. I'm Markayla, and this is Miss Murder, and I will see you in the next one. And trust your freaking gut.